What's up, guys? We're out here at We Shoot in Lakewood, New Jersey today. We're going to check out what Bill Spadea's got to say about what he's going to do when he becomes governor to loosen up some restrictions on our Second Amendment. So let's go check him out.
Hey, what's up, guys? All right, thank you. How you doing? Let's hear for these guys. They're doing a great job, Mark and Eli. Mike Rayner, thank you. Appreciate you bringing me in. So for those of you just meeting me, some of you listen to me on the radio for years. Anybody?
Yes,
Couple
sir.
of you. All right. All right, well, I appreciate that. I miss it. It was a great 10-year run, but this is more important now. You know, we took 1.5 million people listening to that station. Third Democrat, third Independent, third Republican. And most people agree, yes, even Democrats, believe it or not, they're not as woke as the guys running their party. So the challenge is that we don't have normal anymore. We've got woke Democrats that want to take away your guns, that want to put a bureaucrat at the school in between you and your children. They want to absolutely poison the water when it comes to the discussion of climate change. It's your fault. You're driving an SUV, you're going to flood the planet, we're all going to be dead in 12 years. And they use that as a reason to legislate. It's the same thing that's been happening with our schools, where they'll take one account of bullying and they'll turn that into a law. Then all of a sudden now parents lose their rights, and you get a kid who's 7 years old that decides they want to change their gender. And if you don't use the pronoun that the 7-year-old kid wants, your kid's in trouble for bullying. So it's gone off the rails. If you walk through and look at these firearms here, I work with a lot of cops and state troopers, and the pinky test is always the funniest one for the flash suppressor. If your pinky goes in, you're going to jail. If it's blocked or not, I'd like to know how many lives the pinky rule has saved. The magazine capacity, another one. Completely ridiculous. To limit the amount of rounds in a magazine makes no sense, doesn't save any lives. All it does is create felons out of normal, law-abiding citizens. So it needs to change. The problem is the woke Democrats, but the bigger problem, honestly, is the weak Republicans. If we had strong Republicans that fought back, we wouldn't be in this mess. If we had Republicans that fought back for religious freedom, for our medical freedom, for parental rights, all during COVID, we wouldn't be in this mess. But we've got nothing. I'm running against a guy who has been running for governor for 9 years. He supported most of the new gun legislation that we deal with today. He was one of the only Republicans to vote to overturn a Chris Christie veto on gun legislation. So when you think about how do you possibly get to fight the Democrats and take our state back when our Republicans are voting with them on things like men changing their birth certificates to pretend that they're a woman. Chiarelli voted for that. He has been running for 9 years. He spent $25 million. Now, who's gotten the mailers? I know you've gotten them.
Oh, yeah.
All right. You seen the ads? All right, wait. Now, let me tell you. Did you see the one where I'm hunched over? I'm like a troll under a bridge. Have you seen that one? I've asked my wife. We've been married 30 years. I said, when the hell did I take that picture? I don't remember. The point is that they've been lying about me because Chiarelli's been running a different campaign with different ideas and different fake values since 2017. In 2017, he ran against Kim Guadagno as the anti-Christie guy. Then in 2021, he ran as the pro-Christie, anti-Trump guy. Then in 2024, he wrote checks to Chris Christie in the primary against Donald Trump. And then after the president invited me and my wife backstage in Wildwood, and Jack was walking up and down the boardwalk hoping that somebody would recognize him, he decided he would be pro-Trump. So you can't trust a guy that has no core principles. They've spent $4 million in the last 4 months attacking me. Think about that. If I am no threat, if you guys are all in the back room going to make the decisions, why would you spend that kind of money? And then why would you lie? Here's what's funny. I said it to Donald Trump. We were having a conversation about what went wrong in the first term. Had the conversation backstage in Wildwood, on the phone at my radio studio, and then actually on the air. And I pointed out 3 things that I thought he failed to do in his first term. Number 1, absolutely should have mobilized the military and stopped the Black Lives Matter and Antifa riots, shut them down in 12 hours. The idea that this went on for weeks and weeks and weeks and they were burning police stations, you gotta be kidding me. People died, businesses were lost, communities destroyed. The military should have been mobilized and sent in. Second thing I said was a fail is, how is it possible nobody went to jail for spying on his 2016 campaign? They weaponized our government to go after a political candidate that they didn't like, and nobody went to jail for it. And the third thing that I said was a fail was that, if you remember, back during COVID, we all remember 15 days to stop the spread. Remember that insanity? I mean, just lies, right? But they did it, they got away with it. But if you remember, right around the end of April, we were, after Easter, looking ahead to Mother's Day. And what did President Trump say in 2020? The country will be open on Mother's Day. He wanted the flights back and the schools open and everything else. And what happened? Nothing. We were locked down for another 1.5 years. I said, you should have fired Fauci and Birx on that Sunday. That Mother's Day, they should have been fired. You know what the president said to me? You're right, Bill. Now think about it. I'm having a conversation as an adult with a guy I've supported since the escalator, but we had a reasonable, mature conversation on what we disagreed on. Chitterelli's using that to pretend that somehow I'm anti-Trump. It's ludicrous. So that's the game that these insiders play. Now, why are they playing it? Because I am their worst nightmare. I do not take money from these lobbying firms. I'm not a part of the backroom cabal. I have no special interest money coming to me. Many of you know I launched the Common Sense Club back in 2021. And I did it because, this is a funny thing, right? I did it because I thought there's no way that they'll nominate Jack again. It's impossible. The guy's a loser. There's no way. Believes in nothing, can't win. So we launched the Common Sense Club saying, when they nominate somebody credible, strong, with principles and the guts to fight, we better have an organization behind him. And the Republican Party in this state's horrible. I mean, you've got a great Republican Party in Ocean County because George Gilmore is good at what he does, right? You've got a deep, right? I mean, Ocean knows what they're doing. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to hold local establishments, local jurisdictions accountable to what the statute says, where you should be expedited. Within 30 days, you ought to have that permit. And to me, as far as I'm concerned, if it doesn't happen, it should be deemed approved. Next thing we're going to do is bring back stand your ground rules. You know, there was a video, I don't know if you saw this video, it was a truck driver in Texas that pulls up to a rest stop. Cop comes over to his door, raps on the window, and he says to the driver, I just want to see if you're armed. And you can see the guy got nervous. I was probably a Jersey guy. He's like, oh crap, that's not gonna end well. Do I lie to the guy? What do I say? He's like, and as the guy was starting to answer, the officer let him off the hook. He said, I want to make sure you are in fact armed, because just so you know, you're in Texas now, and this is your homestead. And this truck, anybody tries to get in this truck, around this truck, you've got a right to use deadly force to protect yourself. Now imagine that in this state, right? The truck driver in New Jersey would be going to jail. So we're going to bring that back, and we're going to force the issue, and I'm going to have the state join the lawsuits that will help overturn all the absurd rules that they have put in place. The first thing we're going to do, though, and I believe we can do it by executive order, is end the ban on right to carry in all the places that they have excluded. It's done by orders and rules. And you just start striking it down, let them sue, and I will stand with you. But I'm proud of the NRA endorsement that I got 20 years ago. I'm the only one that's met with the NRA now. I'm the only pro-Second Amendment guy. I'm the only one that is committed publicly to getting rid of the magazine capacity bans and all the... I built an AR-15 with my son a couple of years ago. I ordered the wrong stock, so it moves. Like 3 inches. Well, that's like 3 to 5 years in prison if you get caught with that. So anyway, I had to have a buddy of mine drill the hole and put the pin in. How stupid is that rule? A movable stock, you could go to prison for 3 to 5 years. Makes no sense. What we don't do in this state is arrest criminals and empower police officers. So I'm going to declare state of emergency on day one and end bail reform. We're going to end it. It's a revolving door for perps. Every cop will tell you that these kids are being spun out after they steal your car, break into your house, they're out in the streets in 12 hours. And bail reform establishes a point system so that every one of the 900,000 people who are here illegally, who have no record, that we have no idea what record they might have back in their home country, they have 0 points. Guess what happens when they get arrested? They're out in a few hours. We have a crisis. So we're going to end the sanctuary state. I've already talked to Tom Holman a couple of times. Good guy, met him down at Mar-a-Lago, had him on the radio show. And I said to him that we will mobilize the National Guard and immediately mobilize state police assets to get into Patterson and Irvington and Edison and other places where we know the count of illegals is super high. And I said this to Mayor Patterson, who hates my guts right now, but I said, look, if you've got nothing to hide, then what are you worried about? Because that's what you all have been saying to gun owners and legal citizens for so long. Oh, if we have nothing to hide, we shouldn't worry about our government. I'm worried about my government. Let me tell you something. I'm worried about them weaponizing things against us. So we got to use the same logic on them and say, if you're not harboring a criminal, then what are you worried about? So we're going to enforce legal detainer orders. I'm going to start appointing judges. I'm going to fire 8 of the 13 members of the Board of Education statewide. Here's how I can do it. 8 of them are on expired terms right now. Their terms expired years ago, but the governor won't move them because they're a bunch of woke, gender, climate change radicals. So I'm going to fire all 8 on day one and replace them with school choice and parental rights advocates. We can change the state. Don't let them tell you that it's over. It's not over. They turned Wisconsin around in one budget cycle. Ron DeSantis turned Florida around. Don't forget, Florida was a blue state when Ron DeSantis got elected. Blue state. He won that election by 3,000 votes, won his re-election by almost 1 million. It's ridiculous. And here's the problem. A violation of constitutional liberty. First of all, you're supposed to be innocent until proved guilty. So the challenge is we're distracting away with red flag laws that to make it too easy for a bad divorce to get a spouse convicted of something. It's really bad. Custody disputes are one of the biggest challenges with red flag laws. So I believe the only way out of it is the state has to join a lawsuit that a father or mother brings because their rights have been violated. And I'm going to do that 100%. We're going to be in the business of suing ourselves, because what I'm hoping to accomplish by doing that is undo. I want to sue eventually to strike the Mount Laurel decisions. I think we can get rid of those. You have no idea. You've been suffering under these decisions that were made by a court back in the 1970s. And they use it as a justification to build on every available plot of land, and your town gets sued, and you have to pay if they don't do it. It's outrageous. So red flag laws are just another one of those things that they sold it as, oh, it makes sense. If I've got somebody who's acting erratically, it might have a medical issue. It makes zero sense. And the only way out, though, I believe, is we have to sue to undo it, because I don't think the legislature is going to act. I think, and I know some of you, you're going to be constitutional conservatives, and you're not going to want to hear that we are going to use the courts to our benefit. But I'm here to tell you, it's the same reason in my first 100 days we're not going to pass any legislation. I'm not even going to propose any bills. I'm going to use the power of the executive order and the emergency orders to get back our constitutional freedoms. We're going to declare emergencies, and it will allow the power of the state government to go in and right the ship. We can do it. That's the only way to suspend bail reform, as an example. Same thing with red flag laws. Right. I mean, red flag laws, right? You get your guns taken away on just an accusation, yet we all remember that young woman who was stabbed to death by the boyfriend while she was waiting for her approval to go through all the legal hoops, was killed right in her driveway.
Carol Baum.
That's exactly right. And you know what? She still, if she had shot the guy in the driveway, she still would have been charged. Yes. Think of how insane that is. Yeah. It's got to stop. So I'm going to be, let's just call it disruptive. And you're going to have all eyes of the anti-gun lobby on New Jersey. So it's going to be a rough road, so just stick it out with me, because we're going to win.
So we see with President Trump and everything with his executive orders and the whole thing. Yeah, they go straight into lawfare.
Yeah. We're on average in the fall, our reservoirs are at 82% capacity. This past fall, they dropped to about 64%, causing the governor to declare a drought. And everybody said, oh my God, you're using too much water. See, we told you, all bad news. We have to sacrifice, take fewer showers, don't wash your car, all this. Then you find out that, and I met with New Jersey American Water, and I said, I want to test my theory, because I've heard this from a number of businesses. We have hundreds of miles of pipe across this state that are leaking because a lot of them are 100 years old, made of wood. So the estimate is that we lose 20 to 25% of the water coming from the reservoirs into our cities. We had a man-made drought is what we had. We've gone through 6 weeks without rain, but what do they do right away? Drought, more severe. That's the reality. Let me tell you when we're going to unify the party. When we get rid of all the woke, weak Republicans who have been burning us for so long. Now, I've said this publicly, I won't take a call from Princeton Public Affairs. They're going to have to find a new line of work because they will not be welcome anywhere near the governor's office. We are going to bleed these guys and squeeze them dry so they get out of here because they're in the way. The reality is we have to think about the practical. So to me, what is statutory? That's a fight that we're going to take up. And what we can't get the legislature to do, we're going to sue them based on the Constitution to overturn. And I think we're going to win a lot of court battles with Trump in the White House and a lot of these judges that are now coming online. The other thing we're going to do is there are 50 judicial vacancies right now. I will fill every one of them on the first day. We're going to have a list of judges who are pro-Second Amendment, pro-qualified immunity, pro-parental rights, pro-Constitution in the hopper, in the queue, before I even take office.
They were scared to put up the flag. They were scared to put up Trump's flag.
Well, no, I'm saying they were proud to put the flag up, but they didn't vote in the last governor's race because they're like, yeah, this is the Democrat and the Republican are no different.
Yes,
Like California.
Yeah,
you have to make a difference. You have to stand up for the right.
you got to fight.
Yes, you have to fight.
You fight
God
cancer,
saved
you fight
Donald Trump,
cancer, right?
so he
That's
can
right.
save this country.
That's right.
I believe that.
You have to
Come on,
save
he
New
turned
Jersey.
a millimeter. Are you kidding me? God was in that picture. If you weren't faithful before then, you might be now. But look, we've got to protect our faith community. I mean, no matter where you stand, whether you're Catholic or Jewish or Muslim, the idea is that you go practice your faith, stay out of my way, but government has no right to come in and force you. They should have never been allowed to close any house of worship. The fact that any of them that's been a big battle I've had with the bishop in Trenton, because I blasted him on the radio. I'm like, why are you allowing them to close? Don't close. Just say no. When good people fight back, we win. Don't ever forget there are more of us than there are of that
But
small
they have to
cabal.
stick together. They have to stick
Right.
together.
So the way we show it is we vote. And if we can go from 9 out of 10 not voting to, I don't know, give me 3 out of 10 voting, we'll change the entire state and we will go the way that Florida has gone. And I've said this, we should make this Florida without the humidity. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
What's up, guys? So I just got done hearing Bill Spadea talk, and he said what I was hoping he would say. He said that he's gonna take away the fees for the concealed carry permits, and he's gonna try to get rid of magazine restrictions. And he seems like he understands the Second Amendment. He wasn't always a politician, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know. He was a radio show host, and he was a Marine, or he is a Marine, because Marines are always Marines, right? And he had a lot of good things to say. As far as the Second Amendment goes, I was really happy. But we'll see what happens, because it's really hard to get things done once people get in office. You know, people make a lot of promises, and I'm hoping and praying that it all goes well and that he gets in and he's able to do what he says he could do. He really understood that that our Second Amendment right, our right to protect our life, was given to us by God and not by government, and we shouldn't be paying fees to get a concealed carry permit. That is something that is in the Constitution, in our Bill of Rights, for us to be able to defend our life with a firearm. So we shouldn't have to pay any fees, and he said he's gonna take that away. So I'm really hoping that he gets in and he gets going and gets some things done, because we haven't had a Second Amendment for a long time in New Jersey, and we still, even though we have a little more of a glimpse of the Second Amendment right now because we can carry guns in New Jersey, we still have so many restrictions, and the gun laws alone He said he wants to make New Jersey a stand your ground state. So that would be a lot different than what we have now, which is the duty to retreat. So he wants to change it to a stand your ground state. He wants to take away the magazine restrictions. He wants to take away the fees for the permits, and he wants to speed up the processes, like the NICS checks and the background checks, all that stuff, to speed up the process so that you're going to get your firearms ID card just like that. If you are not a criminal, you are not a drug addict or drug user, you're going to get your permit right away. You're going to get your concealed carry permit without paying any fees. So I really did feel like he understood Second Amendment, and I really hope that he's able to get that stuff done when he gets in, God willing. And yeah, even got a free hat autographed by him, so that was pretty cool too. Yeah, guys, so thanks a lot. Have a good night.